check out MrBeast. Man, I'm just about tired of all the MrBeast stuff. I wish something would just be done already, instead of everybody just keep making videos. But I guess people are making money, stimulating the economy and whatnot from Atozy. This lawsuit is a nightmare for MrBeast.
MrBeast is not catching a break over the last couple of months
No,
as he
he
keeps
ain't.
getting hit with new allegations, this time in the form of a lawsuit. And it seems like things are so bad that members of his crew are reportedly calling it the new Fire Festival. So what is going on? Well, on March 18th of this year, MrBeast and Amazon MGM Studios, they announced the Beast Games, a new reality competition series, which really drills in that dystopian meme of POV, it's the year 2024, and the only way you can obtain a house is by doing a MrBeast challenge. Because they also announced that it would be the largest prize for any reality competition.
That pretty much is the only way to get a house nowadays, is do a MrBeast challenge or something similar.
$5 million. Yeah, that's definitely I made it money. And speaking of made it money, there are reports of MrBeast securing a $100 million deal from Amazon for these Beast Games. So clearly a lot is on the line here.
Oh,
what
no.
could go wrong? Clearly.
I know a little bit about this Beast Games info, but I don't know about the lawsuit. I just know about the allegations and the accusations.
Because first we had some rumors come out on TikTok about mistreatment of the contestants, but it wasn't until Madison Malone Kircher published the article titled "Willing to Die for MrBeast and $5 Million" for the New York Times that the alleged problems going on behind the scenes became very public. Summarizing that article, she talks about contestants facing with difficult and potentially dangerous conditions with the alleged inadequate food and medical care, injuries from physical challenges, and a disorganized production staff. And then to make things worse, some contestants left on stretchers and others were hospitalized. While contestants signed waivers acknowledging the risks, many felt misled about the conditions and mistreated by staff. According to the article, the main concerns...
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the people who signed on with the waiver saying like, hey man, if you get injured, it's not our fault. I don't think that they were signing up to be trampled and to have broken limbs. I think they were thinking of like, oh, I might get cut or I might sprain my ankle or something.
Here were food scarcity, medical neglect, poor
That's
hygiene,
really
and
bad.
chaotic organization. So that really does not sound good at all. A spokesperson for MrBeast said the shoot was unfortunately complicated by the CrowdStrike incident, extreme weather, and other unexpected logistical and communication issues. The spokesperson also said that MrBeast had started a formal review and had taken steps to ensure that we learn from this experience. Representatives for Amazon MGM Studios declined to comment. And that's a fair response, but apparently that was the response to the problems with the intake process of the Beast Games. When the actual Beast Games started, the contestants allegedly had the same problems. And by this time, the CrowdStrike incident has mostly been resolved, and they were all...
You know what the major problem is? Everything is based around money, and nobody has any idea what they're doing.
Also given plenty of time to come up with workarounds if it wasn't resolved. So if this actually happened twice, that's just poor management. I am actually really interested in seeing how much MrBeast's team has to do with organizing this event versus MGM and Amazon. Is this kind of like the Beast Burger Ghost Kitchen thing where MrBeast essentially just slapped his name and likeliness on this MGM Amazon
100%.
production? Or are MGM Amazon funding the MrBeast team to run this competition? I really want to know who's actually responsible here. But
MrBeast, I guarantee you, is only the face and is in the videos, and that is it. He doesn't know what's going on behind the scenes. He just kind of had the idea and let them set it up. I guarantee you that. There's too much going on for it to be MrBeast behind everything. I bet he's behind nothing except like maybe looking over things to make sure it all looks good.
Either way, this is branded after MrBeast, so it falls on his lap. Rosanna Pansino also made a bunch of videos where she was sharing the stories of alleged Beast Games contestants, but we never really had something concrete because everyone is hiding their names because of contracts and or, you know, they don't want to be sued. But that was until this lawsuit was filed the other day. Now we have some more concrete allegations, still by anonymous contestants, but since it's now in a lawsuit, one can assume they're actual contestants. But as you can see here, it's a class action suit from 5 anonymous contestants against MrB 2024 LLC, One Off Base LLC, and Amazon Alternative LLC. Here you can see it's a class action for failure to pay minimum wages, liquidated damages for failure to pay minimum wage, failure to pay overtime, sexual harassment, failure.
What is this with the unable to pay? Like, dude, $100 million deal. plus all the other money that you've made. Like, you can't even pay fucking minimum fucking wage. What is wrong with you? Like, I can't believe MrBeast is still allowed to operate after all of this.
To prevent harassment, negligent infliction of emotional distress, failure to provide uninterrupted meal breaks, failure to provide uninterrupted rest breaks, failure to pay wages promptly upon termination, failure to provide accurate and itemized wage statements, failure to indemnify for employee expenses and losses in discharging duties, unfair business practices, false advertising, and declaratory relief. Jury trial demanded. And what we're about to cover is just some key allegations outlined in this lawsuit, but the outcome could have some significant implications for the reality TV industry and how it classifies and treats its participants.
These may be allegations, but it's going through the court system right now, so they have standing. They're not all made up. If it's going through the court, then there's some major issues going on. I figure it's going to settle, because that's what all these billion-dollar companies do.
Because the production that we're covering today isn't actually for YouTube, it's for Amazon's Prime Now streaming platform. And as I mentioned earlier, instead of reading through the whole lawsuit, I'm just going to kind of go through the key points of this so you guys get the gist. So starting off here, we have misclassifications of contestants as independent contractors. So this lawsuit argues that despite being labeled as independent contractors, the contestants were actually employees under California law. They're arguing here that this distinction is crucial because the employees are entitled to legal protections and benefits that independent contractors are not. A quote from—
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they did that thing because of Uber and like gig work and the gig economy. So they made like Uber drivers employees and shit like that. Am I right about that? That's what this seems like.
From the lawsuit, it says defendants wrongfully and willfully misclassified and on information and belief continue to wrongfully misclassify the contestants as independent contractors, although they should legally be classified as employees. This is interesting because you have contestants arguing that they are employees when they signed up to be contestants. I'm assuming their pay is dependent on how well they do in the contest, which they also signed up for. Now, this definitely doesn't mean they can be deprived of food and medicine, but it is an interesting argument that could change game shows forever. So I'm definitely interested in seeing on how the court rules on this, especially because they're saying that by Californian law, they're classified as employees, but this was filmed in Nevada. One or the other. Moving on here, you have the contestants required to sign a contract with the lawsuit.
I don't even give a fuck about it. I'm saying Nevada. Anybody got some problems with it? Come find me.
Claims was unconscionable and included illegal and unenforceable terms designed to benefit the production companies while stripping contestants of rights. Quoting the lawsuit, it says defendants required the contestants to sign an unenforceable adhesion contestant agreement that included illegal provisions. The same unconscionable agreement barred class action lawsuits and lawsuits in California. Okay, so that's interesting. But moving on, you then have failure to pay minimum wage and overtime. So here the lawsuit alleges that the contestants worked long hours, including 24-hour shifts, without receiving minimum wage or overtime pay, as mandated by California law. So another quote from the lawsuit here is defendants knowingly failed and refused to pay plaintiffs and the proposed class minimum wages owed to them. Instead, defendants required plaintiffs and the proposed class to work 24-hour shifts for days without any wages. Yikes.
Dude, if that's true, holy shit. I've worked festivals. I used to work concerts. I've worked festivals that were days and days and days. It was hot in the mud. And I had a better experience than these people did with their hero, MrBeast.
That sounds bad, but you're also competing for $5 million. Clearly, these people didn't win, so they're trying to get compensated for something. But if the conditions were horrible, this makes sense as they would want to be compensated. I'm also interested in seeing what the conditions were there.
Me
Is
too.
this actually a fire festival like disaster? I really want
I bet they don't let people record. I bet they confiscate phones whenever they're like on set or anything.
footage so it's easy to have a non-biased take, because obviously the people suing the MrBeast team are going to say it was bad, and the MrBeast team will likely say it was bad and you signed up for this. But moving on, we get more details on how—
if this stuff keeps happening, they're going to have to hire, somebody's going to have to get, probably the government, have to get a third-party camera crew in to film everything that's going on at MrBeast Productions. so we don't miss anything, so we know exactly what's happening. He's gonna have to get watched like a hawk by the government, or he's just gonna keep exploiting people. But you know what? It's never gonna happen.
How things work. What's also interesting here is most of the people suing here are California residents. They did compete in Nevada, and they're suing them in California. So it's going to be really interesting to see if Nevada or Nevada law or California law is the one that matters here, because I would assume that California law is a whole lot stricter. But moving on, we get to see more details on how bad things really work. Denial of meal and rest breaks, which just sounds terrible. The lawsuit claims the production companies failed to provide contestants with legally required meal and rest breaks during their long workdays. In quote, defendants did not provide plaintiffs and the proposed class with a meal period on any workdays and failed to compensate plaintiffs and the proposed class for 1 hour of pay for each time a meal was not provided during a workday. This is so interesting and a massive reason why I would never want my business to be playing with people's lives like this, because now on one side it's a competition, so it's not like when you're doing an ultra marathon or Ironman that they're going to pause the race to give everyone a break. You're free to take a break whenever you want, but you will probably lose if you do so. $5 million is on the line here, and I guess they need to eliminate people somehow. I guess the question is, what is the ethical way of doing so? Because if the conditions are too good, then the contest will just go on for way longer than planned, which will then cost way more. So
No, well, there are definitely better ways to eliminate people than fucking starving them and trying to kill them. That is fucking insane. Holy shit, man. Fuck.
it's like an extremely finicky line that you have to walk here. Again, it just makes me so happy that I am not in the competition hosting business, because most of these MrBeast videos, they aren't really skill-based challenges. They're just, how long can you do this super tedious thing? For example, placing your hand on a Lamborghini isn't really that hard, but keeping it there for 24 hours without moving it definitely is. So I guess that balances things out to make the competition fair. So like if you're a 4-foot woman, you have about the same amount of chances of winning as a 7-foot dude. That wouldn't be the case if you guys had to play basketball against each other. Okay, actually, I take that back. After doing more research since I filmed, I saw I missed Roseanne's first video where a contestant had this to say.
It was really bad. People were having seizures because they were not getting medication, even though we were promised we would. And it was 100% rigged.
Everybody knows that.
They presented it as though the game would be like Squid Games, basically a type of game show where all the games are an even playing field. That was not at all the case. All the games were about speed and strength, so only the young athletic males were at an advantage over the women, and elderly people were also casted. To make things worse, men started realizing that they could take out the women without being eliminated. Guys started tackling and hitting women. 2 girls were tackled and passed out on the field and were dragged off to continue filming. I saw people with broken bones, stitches, etc., and most were women.
$5 million. $5 million. It's a lot of money.
Yeah, that's a complete disaster. I have no idea how this would ever be greenlit. But moving on with the lawsuit. So I'm really interested in seeing what the competition was, what the actual conditions there are. Knowing like the MrBeast challenges, they're probably standing around in a circle for a long time in the desert, which isn't really safe either. But that's just me speculating. I don't know what was going on because we don't have any footage. But moving on to the meat and potatoes of the lawsuit, we have unsafe and inhumane working conditions. So here the lawsuit details numerous instances of alleged unsafe and inhumane working conditions, including contestants were allegedly deprived of sufficient food and water, leading to hospitalizations. That is absolutely terrible. Most people don't think hospitalization is a realistic risk when you're signing up for a reality game show. Here's the quote from the lawsuit where it says that contestants were taken to the hospital, including for dehydration. Scott Rubin of Vital Vegas reported that local Desert Springs Hospital had seen countless patients coming from the Beast Games due to a lack of food and water, and that the production had allegedly denied food to diabetics, denied water to contestants, and at least 2 individuals had seizures as a result.
I think they didn't have any food and water. I think that was one of the problems. They didn't have any food and water, and they didn't have anybody that could actually pass it out because everybody was busy doing other videos, most likely. So they're doing like 10 of these at the same time, and everybody is involved with all of them. I'm gonna make a prediction. I think MrBeast is gonna keep failing until he slowly fizzles out into obscurity.
That is just extremely poor management and just like an absolute nightmare. Another quote saying that contestants were fed sporadically and sparsely. They were not given adequate access to hygienic products or medical care. So if the anonymous contestants were one of the ones who had seizures as a result and were sent to the hospital, because if that's true, I mean, that's impossible to defend. In that MrBeast handbook that was leaked, he had an interesting take on consultants that I feel like is contrary to what a lot of people think. As a lot of people think that the whole consultant industry is extremely bloated with large overpaid firms. Like the example of New York City not knowing to do with the trash problem they have, so they paid McKinsey a couple $1 million to say, hey, trash cans, they'll solve your issue. Who would have thought? I get that's an extreme example, but MrBeast said in his handbook to always use consultants. So one would think that the team would consult with professionals who ran events out in the desert before, like EDC and others who've ran very large game shows to
No, it seems like he's taken some tips out of the David Dobrik playbook.
prevent disasters like this. But hey, I'm looking forward for two things here: the response of the MrBeast team and any footage of what this event looked like. Because if it really looked like a fire festival situation, that's massive. And to make things worse, here's another clip from Roseanne's video of a statement from an alleged contestant.
We were given maybe 400 calories a meal and only fed every 12 hours.
Yeah, we
Food
can't
would
do
run
that.
out and people would fight over, steal, and hoard food. Water was scarce and kept running out as well. I had to sit with a bloody pad for 2 days before I could get undergarments and my reusable pads because I'm allergic to regular pads.
See, that's actually bullshit, man. That's actually bullshit. This should not be happening. Like, if any of this, just one of these things that is mentioned in this video is true, burn it down. Burn it down. Doesn't need to exist.
We were also sleep deprived, only allowed 3 to 4 hours. We all slept on the floor in the stadium in a $10 sleeping bag. I get that people saying it's a game show and it's not meant to be easy. I'm not saying it should be easy, but it was presented like Squid Games, where competitions were not biased and didn't exclusively cater to young athletic men.
And didn't they have places that, like, apartments? Did they have to sleep on the floor in a stadium? Didn't they have adequate food? Like, I'm pretty sure, like, they had pretty decent lives other than the actual Squid Games. Haven't seen Squid Games. I will be honest. Have not seen it, so I don't know. I just figure, like, they're actually living all right. Like, they're poor, because that's the point of the competition. But they're not MrBeast, like, being shoved into the dirt and kicked around and broken legs and trampled and sitting in your own blood. Yeah. It's just disgusting, man.
People who went signed up for Squid Games, not for American Ninja Warrior and Survivor. Why else would they?
Bro, on Survivor, I'm pretty sure, like, it's better conditions than what they're describing MrBeast Squid Games to be. Like, you got somewhere you can sleep that's not a stadium floor. You get a bed. I mean, it's like outside in like a tent, but it's a bed, and you get food, and there's medical attention, and you're not going to be sitting in a bloody pad for 2-3 days.
They cast elderly people on the show.
That is extremely dangerous for the women and so unnecessary. Like, we've seen them do porta potties and those tents for these kinds of things and other challenges. So why would they not do this now?
Probably because they were using them for something else.
This just doesn't make sense why they would ever want to do this now when the stakes are so high. Why are all your T's not crossed and I's dotted?
Money!
Because this is a
Money.
It's not even just a slip up. This is a disaster. How could they have not seen this coming? Again, if this is true, I am shocked this happened on not only a MrBeast set, but also an MGM Amazon production. But next, you have sexual harassment and a hostile work environment. So here the lawsuit alleges that the female contestants experienced a hostile work environment and suffered sexual harassment. That is just completely unacceptable. But then you have the quote from that is
Everything is completely unacceptable in this entire situation. I think the entire MrBeast company is unacceptable.
Female contestants particularly, and collectively suffered as a result of the defendant's actions. The Beast Games work environment systematically fostered a culture of misogyny and sexism. Again, that is an absolute nightmare, but I really wonder specifically what happened. I'm assuming that'll come out later on. But we have two final main points left, one being misleading advertising and false statements. Here, the lawsuit claims the producer made false statements about the competition, including the number of contestants advertised as 1,000, but allegedly fewer in reality to entice participation. This misrepresentation impacted contestants' understanding of their odds of winning. Quote, it says defendants widely prompted right through the first day of the MrBeast competitions that there would be 1,000 people competing. So that's interesting, because wouldn't that make their odds higher of winning if there were fewer people who actually showed up? I don't know. I also saw in the interview by Rafidi, it wasn't fewer, but more. The contestant he interviewed there claimed there was supposed to be 1,000 contestants, but there were actually 2,000. But then finally, you have Nevada tax credit discrepancies. The lawsuit alleges that the production companies may have misrepresented labor costs to the Nevada Film Commission to secure tax credits. Quote, defendants knowingly misclassified the contestants as independent contractors in part to obtain a tax credit from the state of Nevada, which defendants, on information and belief, would not have received if they had disclosed the production actual labor costs, including the significant labor of the contestants in the budget that they presented to the Nevada Film Commission. Yeah, I'm not a CPA or tax attorney, so I wouldn't really be able to give any valuable input here. But the last thing I wanted to add was some horrible alleged damage control that's also from the first Roseanne video I missed before my original recording of this video. Again, it's alleged because I have no way of verifying these claims, as it's an anonymous person that's communicating via Roseanne.
They offered anyone who lost $1,000 to sign away their rights to join any kind of class action lawsuit of any kind. I didn't sign, so I didn't get the money. After this article came out and things started blowing up, they called everyone back and decided to offer an additional $1,000 per person to make up for any of the inconveniences.
I'd be asking for 10,000. I'd be like 10,000 or I'm spilling the guts. I'm spilling the beans. And I would have been the type of person that would have been secretly recording the entire time because I'm an asshole and I do shit like that.
They knew it was bad.
I don't like MrBeast. Don't make me a contestant because I'll take the whole fucking place down. I'll bug everything because I hate MrBeast and I know that it's garbage from ground up at MrBeast's company, and I will make a lot more money. And just saying, you offer me that $10,000, I'm gonna take it, and it's a lie, because I'm still gonna spill the beans. Because guess what? NDAs don't count if you break the law, and I will find a law that has been broken. And once that law has been broken, everything's coming out because the NDA means shit.
Because they also offered to provide therapy through their insurance. And it wasn't Amazon Prime that called me, it was MrBeast's crew.
That's a Hail Mary when it comes to damage control. They've really dug themselves a hole with this one, and the lawsuit really does corroborate a lot of these claims, because letting dudes seriously injure women without doing anything is wild. That should be completely unacceptable on any production. And also, for the guys who did this, I don't think being on a game show will save you from an assault or battery charge, because everything's filmed. So
I don't think it counts as assault and battery, because they could just say, like, say you're playing basketball, boys versus girls, and you trip up, you slip a little bit, you forget you're playing against girls, and you accidentally knock one down. That's what's happening. It's not like they're running up and just and then knocking a bitch out. No. It's just like a, whoops, sorry, you were in my way kind of thing.
So I'm sure we're gonna get way more answers soon. I also feel like when it comes to MrBeast games, we're only at the tip of the iceberg, because if all this happened, we might be in the ballpark of Fire Festival bad. If you want an actual lawyer to break all this down, you can check out Mad Catster's video here. Shout out to him for actually sending me these legal documents. And if he hasn't posted yet, I'll be linking his channel down in the description down below. I am super interested in seeing what the public response for the MrBeast team is to this, because if these allegations are true, This is just unacceptable. And this lawsuit can definitely have some serious consequences for how game shows and competitions are ran, not only on streaming websites, but also TV and potentially YouTube as well. But other than that, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Game shows are garbage. I hate them. I don't think they should exist. They're manipulative. People lose like a lot of money on game shows. You think that they'd go into the game show to win money. No, but what if they don't win? I mean, yeah, they get reimbursed, but people don't. That people tend to spend more than the money that they're reimbursing because they're on vacation, man. Burn it all to the ground. Burn them all. MrBeast, Family Feud, Wheel of Fortune, get rid of them. We don't need them. They're bad for us, bad for society. I'm kind of just kidding about the game shows, but not really.